Welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to take a look at what you need to go through the course, how you're going to get it and use it. During the process of recording these lectures, Udemy was in the process of converting from an old look and feel to a new. What I'll do in this lecture today is highlight both looks just in case you watch the videos before they completely transform to the new look. Anyway, when you start lectures in Udemy, you usually end up on a screen like this. Let's say this is lecture number 1, and you see a video. And then over here on the right-hand side, if you press the second tab over, it gives you a brief synopsis of the lesson. The third tab over is kind of a discussion that you may want to start or a student may want to start. And the last one, which I think they phased out of the new technique, is students allowed to take notes on a lesson. Now, we're on lecture 2 here, so let's switch to that. I haven't created the actual lecture. I'm in the process of doing it as I speak. And again, let's press the second tab. Now, in the second tab, you'll notice a couple of different things, and this is what you should pay attention to every day when you start a new lecture. There is going to be sometimes some downloadable resources, which we'll talk about today and show you how to unzip them and everything. There's also usually some links to outside sites that may give you access to other information, or in this case today, show you how to download the key important parts of the course, the actual program, Visual Studio, and a zipping program. Okay, so that's the first look and feel that you're going to see. Okay, now let's switch to the second look and feel, and here it is right here. You're looking at it. So you'll notice that first of all, it's full screen. And so this is the video you're watching. Over here on the left-hand side, that was lecture 1. We're going to switch to lecture 2. And again, I haven't created the video for lecture 2 yet, so you'll see this. And the most important thing is it'll show you either links. The first 2 are links to outside sources that we're going to access in a few seconds. And there is something that you download and unzip. Also, if you press here, you can see the resources also there. So there's 2 ways to access them. Let's stay in this one, and that's actually now start showing you what you need to do this course. The most important thing obviously is Visual Studio, which is going to be our sort of way to type in the code and watch it being run and things like that. Okay, so let me press here. This will take you to the website at the Microsoft site that has the Visual Studio Express software, and we are only going to use in this course the Express version. There is a community version, which is a huge program to download. You can download that, it's fine. I'm going to use something kind of clean and simple, a lot less memory it takes up. So I'm going to press here, and it's a pretty big program to download. Okay, so it'll pop up on your screen, find some place on your hard drive to save it, and give it a few seconds, and then it downloads and saves. Now when it saves, it doesn't save the entire program. That's kind of the next step in the process. So let me go here now. So now what you'll have is a small little sort of starter program. When you click on that, it'll start the download process of the humongous program and start the install process. Depending on the speed of your computer and your internet connection, it might take an hour or 2 to do a full install. Once it's installed, what you should see somewhere on your computer, depending on what version of Windows you have, is somewhere on your computer the actual program. Okay, and then just to make sure it works, you can press it. This is what should show up when it starts up. And there is Visual Studio Express version 2015. And just very quickly to give you an idea how we're going to use this, we're not going to actually program today. What we're going to do every day is basically press File, New Project, and there's a number of choices. This is the one we're going to pick 99% of the time. I'm also going to introduce this concept. We're not going to do these kinds, okay? And when you double click on here, it'll create a form and have sort of toolbox on the left-hand side and properties and settings on the right-hand side. This first time you set it up might take a little bit longer than usual, but it usually takes maybe 4 or 5 seconds to get set up. And there is Visual Studio Express, and if you get yours to run and it looks like that, it means it's been properly installed. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to do. Next. The next thing, and we'll exit out of this part, is that I need an unzipping program. Okay, so this is a program that's going to allow compressed demos that I'm going to let you use be uncompressed and then you see all the programs that you're going to use as part of the course. So again, you press here, this will take you to the 7-zip site. Depending on whether you've got a 32-bit machine or 64-bit machine, download one of these two programs, okay? And when you download it, again, it installs an executable on your machine, and then you double click it, and it runs, and then you can use the program. Now I'm going to show you how to use this unzipping program in a second, but that's the program now ready to be used. That's the 7-zip program. All right, so we have Visual Studio Express installed, and we have 7-zip installed. So the next step is then to look at the lesson and see if there's anything that needs to be downloaded that day. So you see here I've got a test download that we're going to do in a second. When you look at all the other lectures, you'll notice that each one of them usually has 1 or 2 things to download. Sometimes it's a series of programs that you're going to use. Sometimes it's just PDFs. PDFs you don't have to unzip, obviously. These ones with the .rar, those are zipped up or compressed files that need to be uncompressed. Let's go back to the original lecture number 2 here, and let's press test download. So find a spot on your hard drive to save that. What I usually do is make a folder called lecture demos, and I put all the stuff in there. Once it's downloaded, go back to that folder that you put the material in, and now you right click, and when you right click you should see the word 7-zip, and there's a bunch of choices here. You could say extract here. I like using extract files, and just press OK. And what it does is make a folder with the same name as the unzip, and then inside of there is the program or programs that I want to demonstrate for you that particular lecture. Now, how do you use these programs? Well, let's take a look. When you go inside of this, there's a program called Sample 1, and in there, what do you do here now? There's a bunch of files. Well, what you usually do is you look for this one right here that has the word .sln on it, and if you double click and you've installed Visual Studio correctly, it should start up Visual Studio. Now watch what happens. Once it starts up, there is my program. Now you're going, well, where is it? Where is it? Well, over here on the right hand side, and we'll talk more about this over the next little while, you double click there, and in a second what you'll see is the form. So this is a C# program, and when you press this little green button up here, it executes the program and runs it. And again, we'll talk more about this over the next couple of lectures, but give it a couple of seconds, it compiles the program, and now you have the program executing and doing whatever cool things that particular program will do. Okay, now if when you double click on the .sln, Visual Studio doesn't show up, that's not a big deal. There's another way to do it, and I'll show you the second way to do it. What you do if you don't get that to start up is you start up Visual Studio by itself proper before you actually even go to the program. Then inside of Visual Studio, you go to File, Open Project, and now what you do is you go looking on your hard drive, and let's back up for a second and just pretend I didn't know where it was. So we'll go into Lecture Demos, Test Download, Intro 1, Sample 1. And you won't see everything now. Now it just focuses on the most important programs you need to make the program load up. And there it is again, sample.sln. So this is the second way that you can start up the program. If you can't get it to start up by double clicking on it right in your File Explorer, do it this way right inside of Visual Studio. So there you have it. What you need to start the course, obviously Visual Studio and 7-zip, and then how you're going to go through each lecture, download the demos and use them. Sometimes I have them just so that when you do it with me, and if it doesn't work, you can always go to my master version that works. Or sometimes my programs are going to be so large that I'd rather that you just load in the program yourself and follow along and then maybe modify it or change it. Okay, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next lecture.